Imagine for a moment standing in a courtroom, pointing a finger, and declaring with absolute certainty, that's the person. You believe it with every fiber of your being. Now, imagine finding out, years later, that you were wrong. The person you identified spent a decade or more of their life in prison, innocent. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Our memories, which we often trust implicitly, can sometimes lead us astray, particularly in high-stakes situations like criminal investigations. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating and at times unsettling psychology behind mistaken identification, a leading cause of wrongful convictions, profoundly impacting lives and challenging the very foundations of justice. At its core, understanding mistaken identification begins with realizing that our memory isn't a perfect video recorder. It doesn't simply capture an event and store it away for flawless retrieval. Instead, memory is a reconstructive process, much like piecing together a puzzle from fragmented, sometimes altered parts. This dynamic nature means it's susceptible to errors, distortions, and biases, both during the initial event and in the days, months, or even years that follow. Let's break down some of the key psychological concepts that contribute to this fallibility. First, there's the idea of memory malleability. Pioneering research by Dr. Elizabeth Loftus has vividly demonstrated how memories can be actively reshaped, distorted, or even contaminated. Think of it less like a photograph and more like a constantly updated Wikipedia page where new information can subtly alter the existing entry. These influences on memory can broadly be categorized into two groups: estimator variables and system variables. Estimator variables are those factors present during the crime or related to the witness that the justice system cannot control. They're part of the circumstances of the event itself. For instance, witness characteristics. A person's age can play a role. Both very young children and the elderly are more prone to errors. High levels of stress or trauma during the event can severely impair a witness's ability to accurately perceive and remember details. Event characteristics. Imagine weapon focus, where the presence of a weapon draws all of a witness's attention, diverting it from the perpetrator's face, or the cross-race identification effect, where people often have lower accuracy when identifying individuals of a different racial background. Other factors like limited exposure duration to the perpetrator, distance from the event, poor lighting conditions, and even the time delay between witnessing the event and attempting an identification can all significantly reduce accuracy. Now, system variables are different. These are factors controllable by the criminal justice system, and understanding them offers pathways to reform. Police procedures are critical here. Think about suggestive interviewing techniques, where a witness might inadvertently be led to a particular conclusion, or the way lineups and photo arrays are administered. For instance, a lack of blind administration, where the officer conducting the lineup knows who the suspect is, can subtly and unintentionally influence a witness. Poor quality fillers, meaning the innocent people included in the lineup alongside the suspect, can also create bias. Then there's post-event information, where information received after an event, perhaps from other witnesses or media reports, can inadvertently alter a witness's original memory. This is known as the misinformation effect. And finally, confidence inflation. An eyewitness's confidence can increase over time, often due to external reinforcement, even if the accuracy of their memory doesn't improve. This makes their testimony appear more credible to a jury, creating a dangerous disconnect between perceived certainty and actual reliability.
Beyond these variables, our own minds have fascinating, sometimes tricky ways of processing information. Cognitive biases play a significant role. Source misattribution is when we confuse the source of a memory. Did I really see that, or did someone tell me about it later? Confirmation bias is our unconscious tendency to seek out and interpret information that confirms what we already believe. And metamemory refers to our own, often overconfident, awareness of our memory's accuracy, despite its known fallibility. We feel certain, even when we shouldn't. To truly grasp the devastating impact of these psychological phenomena, let's turn to a real-life case study that has become a touchstone in discussions about mistaken identity. The story of Ronald and Jennifer Thompson. In 1984, Jennifer Thompson was a college student in North Carolina. She was brutally raped and assailed in her apartment. A few days later, after hours with a police sketch artist and viewing numerous photo arrays, she identified Ronald as her attacker. She was absolutely certain. She identified him again in a live lineup, pointing at him with unwavering conviction. Jennifer Thompson truly believed she was doing justice, identifying the man who had terrorized her. Based largely on her powerful, confident eyewitness testimony, Ronald Cotton was convicted and sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences plus 54 years. He maintained his innocence for 11 long years. In 1995, thanks to DNA testing, which was not available at the time of his trial, Ronald Cotton was exonerated. The DNA evidence conclusively proved he was not the perpetrator. The real attacker, Bobby Poole, was already in prison for other crimes. Jennifer Thompson, a victim herself, was shattered by the revelation. She had been so confident, so absolutely sure. Her memory, influenced by stress, suggestive procedures, and the natural reconstructive process, had tragically failed her. This case starkly illustrates the profound disconnect between an eyewitness's confidence and the actual accuracy of their memory. Ronald Cotton and Jennifer Thompson later collaborated, becoming powerful advocates for eyewitness identification reform, turning their shared tragedy into a catalyst for change. The impact of cases like Ronald Cotton's has galvanized researchers and organizations alike. Pioneering figures like Elizabeth Loftus and Gary Wells have been instrumental in our scientific understanding, and groups like the Innocence Project, which has exonerated hundreds of wrongly convicted individuals through DNA evidence, consistently highlight eyewitness misidentification as the leading cause of wrongful convictions, implicated in over 60% of their cases. The National Research Council and the U.S. Department of Justice have also issued vital reports and recommendations for improving procedures. This topic isn't just a historical curiosity. It remains critically relevant today. Despite decades of scientific consensus on best practices, the consistent and widespread adoption of reforms across all jurisdictions is still an ongoing challenge. There's a persistent, dangerous disconnect between our scientific understanding of memory and common juror misconceptions, the idea that memory is like a video camera. This means education and advocacy are continuously needed. Naturally, there are still controversies and debates. A core tension is the sheer persuasiveness of eyewitness testimony versus its proven unreliability. Jurors often find a confident witness incredibly convincing, even when that confidence is inflated and doesn't correlate with accuracy. We also grapple with how consistently to implement scientifically supported best practices, such as blind administration of lineups or recording an eyewitness's confidence statement immediately after an identification. And there's an ongoing debate in legal systems over whether psychological experts should be permitted to testify in court about these factors, helping to educate juries.
Ultimately, the future outlook is one of continued effort and progress. Organizations like the Innocence Project, the DOJ, and the NRAC about the complexities of consistency and justice. Ultimately, understanding the psychology behind mistaken identification isn't about blaming witnesses or questioning their sincerity. It's about acknowledging the inherent vulnerabilities of human memory and building a more robust, fair, and scientifically informed justice system. By doing so, we move closer to a world where "that's the person" truly means that's the right person, ensuring that justice, in its truest sense, is served for everyone.